What if I told you that ancient humans figured out something we've completely forgotten, and your body is still waiting for it? You wake to cold. Not the kind that makes you pull up a blanket, the kind that tells you the fire died sometime in the night. Your breath clouds in front of your face. Around you, bodies shift under hides. Someone coughs. A child whimpers. Your stomach tightens with that hollow ache that means you didn't eat enough yesterday. The sky outside the shelter is shifting from black to deep blue. You have maybe 14 hours of usable daylight ahead of you. No grocery store, no refrigerator, no backup plan. Every choice you make today determines whether your group eats, stays warm, survives. So what did your ancestors actually do with those hours? What filled a day when survival wasn't guaranteed? Now pull yourself back to today. You probably woke up in climate control. Your biggest morning decision was coffee or tea. Your calendar is full of meetings, emails, tasks that exist only on screens. You'll move from chair to chair, room to room, all with guaranteed meals waiting somewhere nearby. This isn't a judgment, it's just the gap. Your ancestors had no commute to an office, no Netflix deciding what to watch next, no grocery store promising 20 kinds of bread. But they also had no safety net, no choice but to engage. And here's what most people don't realize. Understanding what they actually did all day doesn't just teach you history. It reveals the original template your body and brain are still running on. The first hours after sunrise were dedicated to the most critical task: getting food. But here's where the Hollywood version falls apart. This wasn't bands of hunters chasing mammoth at dawn. For most Paleolithic groups, early morning meant women and children heading out to gather plant foods. Nuts, tubers, berries, insects, roots. This work provided 60 to 70% of daily calories. Men often tracked game or hunted opportunistically, but success was inconsistent. A kill might happen once a week, maybe less. The gathering, though, that was reliable. And it required serious expertise. You needed to know which plants were edible in which season, where to find concentrated patches, how deep certain tubers grew, which insects were worth the effort. You had to read landscapes, predict fruiting patterns, remember locations across vast territories. Archaeological evidence backs this up. Digging sticks with worn tips, processing stones polished smooth by thousands of uses, seasonal camps positioned near specific resources. This wasn't desperate scavenging, it was expert resource management. Competence, not chaos. By midday, the pace shifted. In many environments, peak heat made heavy physical work impractical, so groups returned to camp or settled in shade. But this wasn't collapse. It wasn't scrolling through nothing waiting for the day to pass. This was when the quieter, equally essential work began. Nuts were cracked and processed. Hides were scraped and softened. Plant fibers were twisted into cordage. Tools were inspected, repaired, improved. And underneath all of it, conversation never stopped. Anthropological studies of modern hunter-gatherer groups consistently show that midday is when storytelling, teaching, and social bonding dominate. Elders talked while their hands worked. Children didn't sit in classrooms. They watched, mimicked, practiced through play. Knowledge moved through observation, not instruction. The archaeological record echoes this. Communal hearth sites with worn stones arranged in loose circles. Ochre pigments near living areas suggesting body decoration and shared ritual. What looks like rest from the outside was actually the social infrastructure holding everything together. Community wasn't a luxury separate from survival. It was the mechanism of survival itself. As the heat softened into late afternoon, attention turned toward tomorrow. This was the maintenance window, the hours that kept everything functional and therefore kept everyone alive. Blades were resharpened, hides were treated to stay supple through cold nights. Shelters were checked and reinforced. Fire demanded constant management. Dry wood gathered, coals protected, smoke directed. Nothing maintained itself. Every object required understanding, attention, and skill to keep working. And the sophistication involved was remarkable. Archaeological finds reveal stone points pressure flaked with such precision that replicating them today takes modern craftspeople years to master. Leather garments recovered from ancient sites show tiny, evenly spaced puncture holes, evidence of fine needlework, patience, and practiced hands. They didn't buy new shoes when the old ones wore out. They made them, repaired them, waterproofed them, and understood every stitch. There's something quietly profound in that. Every tool they held, every garment they wore, every structure they sheltered inside, they built it, maintained it, knew it completely. Nothing in their world was abstract. Nothing arrived pre-made and mysterious. Competence wasn't a career skill. It was simply the condition of being alive. Then darkness came, and everything gathered around the fire. This was the heartbeat of the day. Food cooked slowly over coals while the group settled into that familiar circle of warmth and flickering light. But the fire was never just about heat or cooking. Researchers studying the cognitive evolution of early humans have noted something striking. Fire fundamentally changed the social hours available. It extended the day. And what filled those extra hours was everything that made us distinctly human. Language deepened here. Tomorrow's hunt was planned. Today's events were recounted, shaped into story, passed outward. Relationships were negotiated through conversation. Grievances were aired. Jokes were made. Children sat inside adult talk, absorbing knowledge not through formal lessons but through immersive presence. Listening, watching, participating. Firelight created the first captive audience in human history. Archaeological ash layers at repeatedly used hearth sites tell us these weren't accidental fires. They were intentional, sustained, central. Stones arranged in seated circles around ancient hearths suggest this gathering was deliberate and habitual. Their entertainment, their education, their bonding, their culture, it was all the same activity, happening simultaneously every single evening. Nothing was passive. Nothing was consumed alone in the dark. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies suggest ancient humans spent perhaps 4 to 6 hours on direct survival tasks. Less than the average modern workday, but every remaining hour still involved physical movement, cognitive engagement, and genuine human connection. There was no dissociation between body and task, no screen offering an exit from the present moment, no abstract labor producing results too distant to feel real. This isn't about romanticizing hardship or pretending ancient life wasn't brutal in its own ways. It's about recognizing something specific that their day contained and ours increasingly doesn't. Integrated purpose. Every action connected directly to visible, meaningful outcomes. We now work longer hours and feel less accomplished. We're surrounded by more people than any ancestor could imagine, and we've never been lonelier. But here's what stays with me. You still carry that body. You still run that brain. The restlessness you feel sitting too long in a chair, that's real. The deep satisfaction when you cook something from scratch, fix something with your hands, finish something tangible and visible. That's not nostalgia. That's your original operating system responding to conditions it recognizes. Your craving for story, for firelight, for a circle of people you trust, it didn't appear recently. It's 40,000 years old at minimum. We've built a world of comfort and safety our ancestors couldn't have dreamed possible. That's genuinely remarkable. But we've also built one that leaves significant parts of us quietly unfed. Maybe understanding what they did all day isn't just a history lesson. Maybe it's a map back to what we still need.